On a runway in the middle of Cyprus, a passenger plane has been waiting to take off for more than 50 years. It is a Cyprus Airways jet, a Hawker Siddeley Trident, and in the summer of 1974, it was almost brand new, only 4 years old. It never flew again. Its engines were torn out to save another aircraft, and its body was left exactly where it stood. Today, it sits alone on the cracked tarmac, bleached by half a century of sun, slowly falling apart, while pigeons nest in the terminal ceiling nearby. This is Nicosia International Airport, once the gateway to an entire island. Now the most haunting frozen airport on Earth, guarded by United Nations soldiers, sitting in the middle of a line that still divides a country in two. This is the story of the airport where time simply stopped. For most of the 20th century, this was how you reached Cyprus. Nicosia International Airport was the island's only international gateway, its front door to the world. It had begun life back in the 1930s as a Royal Air Force station, when Cyprus was still under British rule. Through the Second World War, military aircraft roared off its runway, and after the war, in 1947, it opened to the public and became a proper commercial airport. And in 1968, it got something truly special, a brand new terminal designed by a German firm, and it was beautiful, modern, elegant, and full of light, with great circular wells in the ceiling that sent shafts of sunlight streaming down onto the travelers below. It could handle 800 passengers at a time. By the early 1970s, more than 1 million people a year were passing through its doors, holidaymakers pouring in to enjoy the Cyprus sun. There were even plans, drawn up in June of 1974, to expand it further, to make room for the giant wide-body jets that were the future of air travel. The airport was optimistic. It was growing. It was looking forward. It had no idea it had only weeks left to live. To understand what happened to the airport, you have to understand the island it served. Cyprus sat on an ancient fault line between the Greek and the Turkish worlds. Its population was mostly Greek-speaking, with a significant Turkish Cypriot minority, and the two communities had shared the island uneasily for generations. And in the summer of 1974, that uneasy balance shattered. On the 15th of July, Greek nationalist officers staged a military coup, overthrowing the Cypriot president. The airport was seized and shut down. Then, on the 18th of July, it reopened, and for a few desperate days, it became a place of chaos and fear, thronged with holidaymakers and foreign nationals scrambling onto hastily arranged flights, trying to get off the island before everything collapsed. And then, on the 20th of July, Turkey launched its military intervention. Turkish forces bombed the airport from the air. The last Cyprus Airways plane had landed just hours earlier, and it was destroyed that same morning. Within days, the runway that had welcomed 1 million travelers a year had become a battlefield, the scene of some of the fiercest fighting on the entire island. As the fighting raged around the terminal, the United Nations made a dramatic decision. On the 23rd of July, with combat especially fierce around the airport, the UN commander ordered his peacekeepers to seize it and declared the entire airport a United Nations protected area. Soldiers from Canada, Finland, Sweden, and Britain moved in and took control. And when the ceasefire line was finally drawn across Cyprus in August of 1974, the airport lay right inside the buffer zone, the strip of no man's land separating the two sides. And there it has stayed ever since. Not destroyed, not demolished, just frozen, under the protection of the blue helmets of the United Nations. A functioning international airport 1 month, a sealed and neutral ruin the next. The last flights of all left in 1977, when British engineers were given special permission to retrieve 3 Cyprus Airways planes that had been stranded on the tarmac since the war, and fly them out to London. After that, silence. No aircraft has taken off or landed here since. Step inside the terminal today, and you step directly into 1974. This is what makes Nicosia so uncanny. In most of the world, airports are the very symbol of constant change, forever being expanded, renovated, modernized, torn down and rebuilt. But here, nothing was rebuilt. Nothing was modernized. The check-in counters still stand where the last passengers queued. The baggage belts are still there. The escalators, the departure boards, the signs, none of it was destroyed by the bombing. It was simply left, to be worn away by dust and damp and time. The beautiful modern terminal, with its shafts of sunlight, now has a collapsing ceiling where pigeons roost in the broken beams and the wind whistles through shattered windows. The great sign on the front of the building still spells out the airport's name, though some of the letters have fallen away. And outside, on the apron, sits that lone aircraft, the Cyprus Airways Trident, engines gone, fuselage slowly disintegrating, waiting on a runway for a departure that will never come. It has become the single most powerful image of the whole Cyprus tragedy. A plane that cannot fly, in an airport that cannot open, in a capital that cannot be whole. And here is the strange reality that the airport left behind. When Nicosia closed, the island was suddenly cut off from the sky, isolated from the world for 6 months, until both sides scrambled to dust off old wartime airfields to replace it. In the Greek south, they built a brand new airport at Larnaca from scratch in just 2 years, and later another at Paphos. In the Turkish north, they reopened an old airfield and named it Erkan, though flights there can only connect through Turkey, because almost no country in the world recognizes the north as a state at all. And so Nicosia, the capital city, was left with the strangest distinction of all. Today, it is the only capital city in the entire European Union without a working civilian airport. Its original gateway still sits there, just a few miles from the city center, perfectly placed, structurally frozen, and completely unusable. Every few years, diplomats float the idea of reopening it, as a gesture of peace, a way to build trust between the two communities. In the 1990s, there was very nearly a deal, one that would have reopened the airport in exchange for handing the ghost town of Varosha back to its original residents. But the talks always collapse. The same wall of mistrust that emptied the airport keeps it empty still. That is why this place matters. Nicosia International Airport is not really an abandoned building. It is a frozen moment, a single day in July of 1974, preserved under a United Nations flag for over half a century. The plane still waits on the runway, the sunlight still falls through the broken ceiling, and the airport sits exactly where it always has, on the dividing line of a country that has never managed to put itself back together. A gateway that once connected an island to the whole world, now standing as the quietest possible monument to the day that world fell apart. If this story stayed with you, stay with us. There are more places where time was forced to stop, and more stories waiting to be remembered.